So ever since The Force Awakens came out, one of the biggest complaints against it is that it had another Death Star. And really all they did was say, well, it's a bigger Death Star. And they were so self-aware of the fact that this was a silly plot device to repeat that they even made jokes about it in the movie. In and of itself, it would be a problem that they're repeating plot devices so flippantly, but it's an even bigger problem here because I don't think that adding the Death Star back into this movie did anything to help the movie because it really has nothing to do with the central plot. Just think about it. What do we lose if you cut the Starkiller Base entirely out of this movie? Well, at the middle of the movie, when Hux gives his big speech in front of the First Order, it doesn't climax with them shooting the Starkiller Base and blowing up the home of the New Republic. So you lose that out of the movie. But that's not actually a problem. That helps the movie. The most confusing thing in this whole movie that isn't explained, that I was watching it going like, what's going on, is that scene. Because the movie hasn't given us enough information about the governmental structure, about what we're looking at to understand what is being destroyed in the sequence. So if you read other materials, you understand about how the New Republic's government shifts from star system to star system. And so then you don't know any of that in the movie. You just have this sequence where you know that they blew up planets, but you don't care about any of them. There's not like a character like, oh, my mom was over there. There's nothing like that you're emotionally invested in what's happening. It's just a confusing sequence where you see that a weapon is really powerful. And so the information that's confused, the plot point that's done there might as well just be removed from the movie entirely. It doesn't need to be there. You can put it in a book, I guess, since that's what you have to read anyway. You can put it in a TV show, or you can have it just in the opening crawl of this movie. The First Order has used their weapon to devastate the New Republic by blowing up da-da-da-da. Therefore, they're looking for Luke Skywalker to help them. There you go. In a few sentences, they've described why this weapon is so dangerous, why we need Luke Skywalker, and it doesn't confuse us by seeing it in the movie. You're like, what's going on? So if you cut that out, that helps. From there, our Starkiller Base doesn't really tie into the plot of the rest of the movie. Now, certainly events happen on the Starkiller Base, and therefore it has to be stopped, and therefore we've got Poe Dameron flying around trying to blow things up. But let's say you remove the fact that it's a Starkiller Base entirely out of the movie going into the third act. It's just First Order base on Planet X. And all we have is that Han Solo and Finn are very committed to saving Rey because they're friends with her. So if you do this, you lose Poe being with his X-Wing buddies flying around, which doesn't remove anything from the plot of it. In fact, that was one of the things that was most surprising to me when I first watched The Force Awakens, is how detached I felt watching the X-Wing sequences. They're staged well, they're shot well, they're interesting to see, but it has nothing to do with the story we're actually following about on the planet. And then if you look at the planet, it's just a snow planet with a base on it. It doesn't need to be Starkiller Base. It could be just Planet X or whatever you want to call it. It could be that. You could probably almost do a supercut of this movie where you cut Starkiller Base out of it and it doesn't change anything. The actual story that we're following is unaffected if you do this. So the question that comes to my mind is, why did they add this in here? It only bogs down the plot. It only hurts the movie. And I really want to know what they were thinking. Was it just that they wanted to tie back? They really did want to do a soft reboot of A New Hope. And so they basically shoehorned it in there. Because you could see how a weekend rewrite of the script removes it entirely. It doesn't need to be there. All the things that are really powerful and memorable are all still there. And Starkiller Base is memorable for just being a really bad rehashed idea that did not need to be there. So I wonder if some of that's where the script writing process for this movie got interesting. Because if you remember, they hired Michael Arndt, back in January 2013. And he was coming off Toy Story 3, so it was a lot of buzz around him. And then a year goes by. And he's working on the script for this movie for a year. And finally, after a year, they're like, we had to let him go. We're actually going to bring in Lawrence Kasdan. JJ's going to work with him, and they're going to write the script. So they throw this thing together in a couple months, and then they go forward with it. And so I just wonder how much of that was after all this time of working on it, he was like, I don't think that this Starkiller goat fits, or if they came in, I just would love to see a candid interview about that 10 years from now. So right now, it would be, like being sour grapes if Michael Arndt came out and was like, they were trying to force me to do it. It would come off poorly. Or if they were trashing his script, it'd be bad. 10 years from now, when everybody's had a successful career and we can just reflect, I would love to see someone describe why, like what was going on in the process that took so long, and why did they put this Death Star in this movie that does not need it as a plot device? Because if you watch A New Hope, the whole movie is centered around the plans for the Death Star. The whole movie is about stopping the Death Star. And so that we go on a journey, we rescue people from there, and we go back and we blow it up because it's this weapon that we need to stop. That's not the plot of this movie. It's just a place that we go. It's just something that kind of happens in there. It does not need to exist in the way that it does. It's just a thing thrown in there that reminds us of the old one. Was that the only reason it's there? Was there like a different version of the script that was very much even more so A New Hope like, and they did a rewrite last minute? Maybe that's what Michael Arndt was. Those are the questions that I really have on my mind. I would love to see what he had worked up. I mean, I'm just so fascinated by that. I've said it before, but I've got all of the making of The Return of the Jedi, Empire Strikes Back, and Star Wars books, the thick ones, the books by Rinsler. They're actually right there. My camera's sitting on top of them right now, along with the box for my BB-8. And they actually walk through how those original movies, the writing process, the brainstorming, compares drafts, the changes made all along the way. That is the special feature I want to see about the writing of this movie. That's the stuff that really interests me. How about you? What do you think about the fact that they put the Death Star in it? Do you think it served any purpose having a Starkiller Base in this movie? Or is it just a strange throwback that seems very oddly put in this movie, like it does to me? Tell me in the comment section. I don't want to just talk about Star Wars. I want to talk about Star Wars with you. Tell me below what you're thinking. If you're new to my channel and you've never clicked that subscribe button, I talk about a lot of stuff. I rant about a lot of stuff, and I say a lot of stupid things. If you want to be caught up on all the dumb things I say, please click that subscribe button. I would love it if you'd come and join us, and thank you for watching.